Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mike. This is the Leadership Toolkit. As you know, this is the definitive leadership growth podcast. It's your opportunity to listen in to people that have had massive successes, sometimes massive failures, right? We talk about all these things so that you can shortcut your leadership life. And sometimes you either don't have to repeat what they've been through or what things like I've been through, or sometimes you can repeat the things that help them get the wins and the successes. So today I'm really excited to have an absolutely amazing guest with me. I got Hailey Evans on the show. Hailey's an award-winning storyteller, marketing strategist. She's the creator of the Epic Communication Framework and Epic Storytelling app. And her and I were talking right before the show, and she's like, hey, she goes, I want to rewrite some of your stuff. So I am going to be blessed to be able to do that live on the show. And hopefully, she said it'll rewrite some stuff and it'll tell you why, because leaders, you have a story that can make a difference for somebody else. So I am excited to bring on the show Hailey Evans today. Hailey, welcome to the Leadership Toolkit.
Hey, Mike, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So if you would, you have got such a phenomenal background. And we were talking just before we went on the show, and I certainly don't claim to know all of it. I just know that I, got a little bit of your bio. We're chatting before the show, and on the surface, people will tune into a show like this and be like, man, Hailey's awesome. She's got this app. She's got everything together. And you're like, yeah, there's a lot more backstory. So would you do me a favor and just share a bit of what is your background? How did you get into doing what you do? How did you get into leading people? And especially the storyteller part, I think it's so powerful. So if you would just share that for a bit.
Absolutely. So my life took a turn in high school in an unexpected way. I had planned to graduate high school a year early, go on to college and have my career and get married and have kids. Well, 3 weeks before my early graduation from high school at 17, I learned I'm pregnant. And so we decided we're going to get married. We had been dating for 2 years. And so I get married just a couple days before my high school graduation. And so at that time, I just put everything on hold and said, I'm just going to shift my focus. I want to be a stay-at-home mom and invest in my family. So had my first son at 17, our second at 20. And through that time, it was a lot of things. My husband at the time went through several businesses. We had bankruptcy. We dealt with a lot of that. We dealt with infidelity. And we ended up in full-time missions where we were traveling the world with our sons. And 14 years into the marriage, I learned he's been living a double life the whole time. And so we had dealt with other issues before. I'm like, you know what? This can't do it anymore. My sons were 11 and 13, and that was the scariest point in my life because, number one, I did not have any education and I had no work experience. And so I had these two teenage boys who were looking at me for leadership and say, hey, what are we doing now? And I just had to step out in faith and say, okay, you know what, God, this was a surprise to me, but it's not a surprise to you. I knew he had a plan, but for a short time, we had to go on food stamps and Medicaid. And that was very humbling. So I knew I needed to get my education. At least for me, that was going to be the way out. So I didn't want to go into debt. I started writing scholarship essays and grant essays, just sharing my heart and all the struggles that I was going through. What ended up happening is I earned $52,000 in scholarships and grants, which completely paid for 3 of my degrees, all 3 of my degrees, including an MBA, which I completed in 5 years. And so that is how I got into storytelling.
All right. Well, so that is, I mean, what a way to get into storytelling. You're going, and I'm sitting over here taking notes. So that was what took me a second. Sometimes it takes me a second to come back on screen because I'm sitting listening going, okay, well, this is wild. So you said you raised $53,000?
$52,000 in grants. Yep. And just from writing stories, just from saying, hey, I know the vision that I have for my life, but this is the gap. This is what's holding me back. And trying to help the committees understand the vision that I had for me and my sons was to better our life, but I couldn't do that without their help. And so it was just, it boiled down to effective communication.
So you went from saying, okay, well, I'm going to get because you got a master's in business and so forth, correct?
Mhm.
And so you said, I'm getting all the business degrees and going through all this and learning to operate a business, which is that in itself is a really powerful story based on what you've been through. And I love the fact, and this is just how my brain works. So people just roll with me. If you watch the show regularly, you know this. I'm going to go back to something that Hailey said here. Besides the business degrees, besides the storytelling, I absolutely love the fact, and I want people to hear this loud and clear, is the fact that you said, hey, it's a surprise to me, but it's not a surprise to him and God, right? And people
Mhm.
that know me know that I very much wear my faith on my sleeve. I'll have that conversation with anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that is a really powerful piece that we're coming around to more in business. I know Jim brought up here, he said, hey, I'm excited to listen. Jim's certainly a man of faith. He watches the show regularly and so forth. And he had commented, hey, I'm excited to listen to this. He's somebody else that it's like, hey, when we lean on God, that's something that's so powerful. Leadership with Mike, there's a story behind that. It's not me leadership with Mike, it's the other leadership with Mike. But he says, I immediately heard that loud. And it's amazing that that is the starting point. That is the jumping point for so many things. You're like, okay, hey, he knows my story. He knows my direction. And one of the things I think that is hard for so many people, and what I heard you say, Hailey, and I sort of hear between the lines, if I may, the fact that when you realize that it's not a surprise to God, you just lean in and be obedient with, okay, well, this is what it's going to be. And one of your gifts turns out to be storytelling. And so that helps you get through all of the things.
Mhm.
So when you're saying, hey, I wrote these scholarships and grant essays, what was the focus? Can you expand on some of that a little bit? How is it that someone's saying, hey, yeah, we'll give you 50 grand for this story? What were they all very similar in theme, or how does that work? Because I genuinely don't know.
No, so they were all different from, I would just scour the list of scholarship opportunities. And since I was a single mom, I did qualify for a lot of them. Some of them were from the university. So I started off with an associate's degree in health information management. I went on for a bachelor's in health administration, then finally an MBA, and they were all online because that was the only way that I could do it and keep up with two teenage sons who were about eating me out of the house at that time and
Right.
running me ragged between all their soccer practices and church activities and friends and school. So I was really grateful to have the opportunity to go to school finally, because that had been my dream for 20 years. But I knew that for a time, I wanted to invest in my children, in my family, and I never regret that for a moment. My sons are 27 and 29 today, and they also are so thankful that I invested in them, and they want their wives to do the same. And so it's just really cool.
No, it's super cool. And here's another question I have for you, and I'm just curious, what was the time frame? Because you said, hey, I got 3 degrees. What's the time frame that it took you to do all that online? Because that, I mean, again, to me, so you're saying, okay, and this is my words, not yours, but like I think for anybody, and I've been there. I remember growing up and having to be there with our own family. Like, okay, I got to take a bruise to the ego a little bit, bruise your pride a little bit, and you're going through. You mentioned food stamps and Medicare and so forth, and you're enrolling in college and you're getting things done with 2 teenagers. How long did it take you to accomplish 3 degrees? Just curious.
So I graduated with my associates in 2013 and my MBA in 2018.
Okay,
So
that's
I was on a fast track. I was
yeah,
not
that's
moving
phenomenal.
around wasting time. And in the middle of that, I had a traumatic brain injury from a car accident, and I was out of commission for 2 years of that time. I couldn't work.
In between there,
Yes, yes. I was in horrific pain from a car accident. I was rear-ended on the freeway. I'd finally landed my dream job at the hospital in healthcare that I had thought I always wanted to do.
sure.
And actually, I was on the way to accept a scholarship for my an MBA, my degree. And so missed that one just because I was in a car accident. And so that was a whole nother level of perseverance that I just had to dig deep a lot of times, because being a single mom and then having the ex-husband struggle with drug issues. He got addicted to meth. He ended up getting arrested at our son's soccer game. I mean, it was just like blow after blow. And for those years, like, I just thought, God, can I just wake up out of bed and not like feel like the sky is falling today? And so it was tough time, but we made it through.
So if there were one thing I want people to hear too, and for those of you, people that tune in and listen, if you take notes or you do whatever, like, there is a lot when it comes to, leadership, when it comes to business. And I've talked with people, I've counseled with people, I imagine you have too, Hailey, where it's like, oh my gosh, I just can't keep going. I want people to hear your story of resilience, because it would have been really easy to throw in the towel from, I mean, you went from getting into school to an MBA as a single mom on food stamps. What the total time, what's that, 6-7 years, maybe total, in between 6 and 7 years, and being in an accident. So by gosh, for anybody that is listening, like, you got to hear that resilience when you really want something. And I'm going to go back and lean in on this, and I hope that that's okay with you, Hailey. When you really want something and you are obedient to God and you go, okay, that's when there's nothing else to lean on, and you can lean on that. What I'm hearing is he will pull you through that if you follow him, right?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And the faith is a huge issue. And I always say, look, we have to have that as our foundation, but we also need to work on our attitude. And
absolutely.
I never wanted to be, woe is me, and have the pity party. Instead of saying, why me? Let's ask, what's next? Just let's keep moving.
Ooh.
Let's look at the future. And that's what my boys have learned. And so I never wanted to allow myself to succumb to a bad attitude, because you can get through a lot in life as long as you have a good attitude and can smile and still laugh at the things that, just finding joy in the little moments and appreciating those too.
Somebody put that in the sidebar. Instead of asking why me, ask what's next, right? That is a powerful statement. Instead of asking why me, ask what's next. And I just absolutely phenomenal. So let me ask you then, so that transition, you said you graduated in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So from 2018, how did you decide? Because I mean, did you immediately jump in and start going with, epic storytelling, your communication framework? Did you immediately jump into that, or what was next?
Yeah. So what was next was me thinking that I got my dream job after finally getting through the head injury, had surgeries and overcame that. I started working in health administration at a local hospital, and I thought I wanted to be in healthcare. What I found out is that I hated it, because I'm so pragmatic. I want results fast. And if I see an opportunity, I want to act on it and do it and be done with it. But when I had to go through so many layers of red tape, I got so frustrated. It's like, this is not for me. I loved my staff. I had 50 staff that were so committed, and I loved what they did. But with healthcare, the policies are always changing. And I felt like, we don't pay the folks that work under me enough. We don't train them well enough. And then they are the ones that are getting reprimanded if there's a claim that is denied. And I'm like, I don't want to be in this anymore. I want to make a difference. And so I actually remarried in 2021, and we built a home, and it was during COVID. And so 17 COVID long months, I learned how to be an interior designer. And so I'm like, we get moved in, and I'm thinking, I'm bored. My kids are grown. I don't have anything really to do right now. I want to start an interior design business. And I basically knew nothing about that, other than I had just gone through 18 very intense months of building a custom home. So in those first 9 months, I did $200,000 in sales, and we grew to a team of 10. And so after a year or two, and I kept winning all these marketing awards, and pretty soon I'm like, I'm really kind of tired of working with these snotty people. I think I just want to focus on marketing. And what's funny is when I was taking my classes, my bachelor and my master's, I hated marketing. I was like, I don't like this. I didn't get it. But when I put it two and two together and just completely shifted my mindset, like marketing is just simply storytelling. That's all it is. And so when anybody says to me, I have a marketing problem, I say, no, you have a storytelling problem. Let's get very granular and let's figure it out. And so I ended up selling my interior design accounts and went full in on the marketing. And my focus are those mission-driven organizations, especially nonprofits, and also small businesses. And so I just enjoy seeing the amazing things that can happen from storytelling.
I think it's super, super powerful. And the whole storytelling piece, as we come into this, I don't know that there are enough good storytelling teachers out there. Like that's not something that is common. There are a few. There's a few I've come across, including yourself, right? I mean, literally, I could count on one hand people that have really leaned in and said, "Hey, here's," and I love the fact that you said you don't have a marketing problem, you have a storytelling problem. I think that's such a unique perspective, especially when it comes to marketing. I've been a digital marketer for close to 15 years in automotive, and the times that we have excelled the most are the times that, like when we brought it internal, we were handling internal marketing versus hiring an external company. And I think it's because those people that you are using internally, like they know the story, they know the philosophy, they're invested, versus somebody that you're hiring to gloss over it and, hey, let's make, we need 3 primary colors and we need three you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Also, before I get too far ahead, I've put this on the screen a couple of times, but if somebody is either watching on YouTube or Spotify, or you're listening on Spotify or Apple, I would encourage you, definitely connect with Hailey Evans. I've got 2 different links I've put up here. This one I love because it's like connected to everything Hailey. So if you go to HaileyEvans.com, it's HaileyEvans.com/links. You can connect with her all over the place. So it's got all of the things that you have, your epic storytelling framework, epic storytelling app, be able to connect with you on socials and so forth. So I would encourage people, check out that site, check out that link. And then also I have had up here several times your LinkedIn, linkedin.com/Hailey-Evans-MBA- there's a bunch of stuff after it, 6B2030A5. But if you look for Hailey Evans MBA, she comes right up. Or if you go to that link that I gave you beforehand, certainly. But I'll include those in the show notes as well, so you can connect with Hailey. So, gosh, where were we? So you were saying, okay, we don't have a marketing problem, we have a storytelling problem. So you've become this like phenomenal marketing strategist, storyteller extraordinaire. You have can you give me the layout without like giving too much away, because I know the framework that you use is really something that is part of your business. But what's the 20,000 foot view? What is the epic communication framework?
Absolutely. So when we think about communicating and storytelling or marketing, there are very few frameworks that come to mind. And so when we think about math, 2 + 2 always equals 4. But when we get to words, we are confused. And so I thought there's got to be an easy way to create a framework that can be repeated over and over. And so what I love about frameworks is that they can be modified to any audience, but the framework stays the same. So for example, EPIC stands for engage with a hook, persuade with story, inspire with vision, and then close with clear next steps. When you use that simple framework across any platform that you are communicating on, it works. And so whether it's a social media post or a presentation or a sales email, a donor pitch, whatever, if you use that simple framework, it works. And I have the data to back it up. And that's so exciting too, because I don't want to just, marketing a lot of times is like pie in the sky. You're selling the future, but it's like, hey,
Right.
I want to have the data to show you that it works and why it works. And so that's what I get really excited that there's a simple framework that anyone can follow and repeat to get really great at storytelling.
No, I love it. And I also, I agree with you. I love frameworks when it comes to like sales and processes or marketing and processes. I absolutely, and I put that in the sidebar in the chat. So you said engage, persuade, inspire, and close, and you expanded on that certainly more than I am. I'm just like, I think that's awesome. So you have this epic communication framework. How does that transcend and move over to the epic storytelling app? If someone were to get your app and they just plug into it, does that build stuff? How does that work?
Yes, so it is launching in January 2026.
Okay.
I've got the betas getting ready to start using it. We're so excited. So how all this started was a year ago, I got turned on to AI. And when I learned what it could do, I couldn't sleep for 3 nights because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever, because I knew I could clone myself. But the best thing of it is that now that I know how to leverage AI, I can then pass those savings on to my clients. So when I used to charge $7,500 for a website because it took that much time,
Sure.
I can now give it to or offer it at $1,500. I've literally probably been able to drop my prices by 60, 70% because I know how to use AI. So, but what the frustration that I kept seeing with people trying to use it is it doesn't sound like me. It sounds robotic. So I started making custom GPTs, and I use this 3-part system. Number 1, your brand voice and your brand identity. Number 2, your writing preferences. Do you want to sound inspirational? Do you want to sound more professional? Do you not like M dashes? And then the third part is the epic framework built into every single tool. Anything that you use, you have those 3 parts. So number 1, it sounds exactly like you. And secondly, it always hits and lands with your audience because it's got that epic framework built in. And so I had so much success building these custom GPTs all the way back from, probably last spring. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. So when I was on the podcast, like I shared with you, I'm like, how do I get this out to the world? Like, it's so life-changing. And he's like, well, you need to build an app. I'm like, an app? Like, that's for smart people. I don't know how to do that stuff. But what I found was a no-code app. I found somebody who's really great at that. I've gone through 2 or 3 developers. It's been a challenge. So I started this back in July, and we will be able to launch in January. And it is so exciting because I actually did AI boot camps for especially mission-driven organizations that just really needed some help, but continue to go through the same challenges where they have to reiterate. And then they're looking at Perplexity and Claude and Chat. And I'm like, this is nonsense. Like, there's got to be a better way. I'm all about efficiency. And if there's a faster, easier way to do it, I want to find it and help share it with others.
So, and I absolutely phenomenal. One of the things that's so funny, when I started this show, I always steered away like from AI because I am so about like, there is no replacement for like genuine caring and humanity, right? There's not, if it's used right. AI can be an amazing tool. It's funny because Leadership with Mike Ashe, he brought up earlier, he went from a leadership channel, pure leadership channel, to going with an AI startup because he's done YouTube forever. And this AI startup did all these different cool YouTube things, and then they twisted and turned and went different directions. And he ended up getting a buyout, I don't know, 6 months ago, something like that. And just phenomenal dude. But what's crazy is it's like there is so much opportunity down all these different verticals of business, whether it be leadership, storytelling, management, sales, marketing, all this. The thing that I do want people to hear, and you correct me if you think I'm wrong, is it is like anything else, it's a tool. So you need to have that human engagement. You need to have, I always joke and say, like, you got to have some adult supervision, right? You can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to have AI go deploy this and off it goes. And so, yeah, see, Mike says, sure did. He definitely, talk about twists and turns. I've had him share that story on the show before. So I'm curious. So when you're talking about the app, this is the Epic Storytelling app, and it's how to craft a story, sells the vision, sells your marketing. Because I know one of the activities we're going to engage in today, so anybody that wants to know, she pulled up my LinkedIn and she says, oh, we're going to rewrite this. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to, because I wrote that from the heart, Hailey.
Well, I'm going to show you a different way, and it's going to be done in 60 seconds.
Well, it took me more than 60 seconds. And I think that's one thing that people that are in leadership, management, type A personalities, it's hard because you put in this work, right? And you have this ownership over it. And so I was like, okay, I'll be the experiment when we get there on the show. But one thing I want to know, why is this important for people that are leading and managing others?
So leaders need to know how to tell their story in a way that engages and inspires action. And when we don't put a lot of effort into the words that we say or have a strategy for our communication, there is unfortunately just a lot of words that mean nothing. And so the reason why I like AI and the reason why I like the app is that what you and I could say in 20 words, AI will say in 10. And it just cuts right through the noise. And so that is the thing. Our businesses do not need to shout louder or have more content. We need a clear strategy and a communication framework that actually works. And so mine is it's AI connection with human heart. And what's so crazy is like it sounds like it is just so genuine. And because I don't want to be putting out any kind of content that doesn't sound very genuine, but I have specific parameters in it, and it has to do this. I have a checklist. So for my ad copy, I have a 13-point checklist that it has to check every single box. And so it's exciting. Yeah. But yeah, back to your question.
So no. Here, I want people to hear what you said. Like, leaders need to be able to tell their story to inspire action. Without action, nothing happens, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't get, and a couple of things. First off, I'm going to put this up here because Mike is a good friend of mine, and every once in a while he gets to tune into the show. And I don't know whether he feels special that he tuned in today or not, because he's over there and he says, no one cares about your effort. They care about your results, Mike. So, and he's right. In most cases, I think there is a lot to be said for effort though, too, Mike. That's a different conversation. But the things I want to hear, or that I hear coming from you, Hailey, is like, okay, it does have heart. It does need to be inspirational. It does need to be who you are at your core. Because, and what I started to say here beforehand is, without action, nothing happens. It requires me as the leader taking some form of action, me being inspirational enough to get other people to take action. If no action is being taken, no results are being produced. And so we're just sitting here having good conversations, right? Yeah. That's all it boils down to. So,
so back to that.
Yes.
Could I just say about Mike's comment about results? So yeah, no one cares about the effort. So the hard thing about in marketing is we can't always see the results. It's kind of like pie in the sky, and you know, like with grant writers or analysts or something, it's like, man, you can just dial in. But what I like to do is follow the metrics and the data. And so I'll give you one example of a nonprofit I work with called Greenville Tech Foundation. They're the largest community college in South Carolina. And they were struggling with open rates. And so about a year ago, I said, why don't we just do something called Transformation Tuesday? Every Tuesday, let's send out one story about a student that has had their life transformed because of your work. In 6 months, we doubled open rates and more than doubled click-through rates because we sent it on every Tuesday, and people loved to expect the story. They wanted to know who were they talking about today and what happened. So that's just one example. I use Kit for my email CRM. I kid you not, and I'll show you the metrics that I have on that. I have received over an 80% open rate on a regular basis. My average open rate is 79%. I have almost 20,000 subscribers, and my click-through rate is in the 60th percentile as well. When I started using the Epic framework, that's when it changed. So I was like, average maybe 40%, 50%. But when I started honing in on those subject lines, that's the E, that's the engage. You've got to create curiosity with communication so that you can get them to lean in and want to read the rest of the story. So number one, you've got to create curiosity with everything you say. Think about, just dropping breadcrumbs. You want to just give them enough to keep them hooked and into whatever you're trying to say.
I picked out a few things there. One, and as you get to know me, like I often will repeat stuff in my own words because I know if I'm getting it, my audience is going to get it. And then we'll jump in so you can tear up my social media here in just a minute. But one of the things that you said was consistency and story sell. That's what changed your open rates. That's what changed your click-through rates. And I want people to hear that first and foremost. You can be experimenting with stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, perfectly refined or any of those things. The number one thing to getting results, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, is you got to be consistent with it. You're consistent with it until you start to find something, or not until. You're consistent with it, and then you find something that works, and then you stay consistent with that thing that works, and you start to duplicate it. And then, as you were saying, like you got to create that curiosity in the subject line. Subject line is your email. That's your hook, right?
Yep.
That's all it is. It's the same thing they do in YouTube trainings, right? What's the hook? You get 8 seconds or less to hook somebody. When it's the same thing you do in movie theaters, right? The whole, if you go to massive productions and you're going to a movie, and the best movies that you can go watch have this amazing hook in like the first 30 seconds of the film. They don't come right up and show the title of the film, right? They come up with this hook and action and what's going on, and then the title of the film, and then the film, right? So that's one of the things that I'm hearing you is like, okay, well, come up with this, be consistent with what you're doing, but come up with the hook for the story, create the curiosity, and then you can sell and market the rest of the pieces.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So I had a crazy hook. I just gave my first keynote, really big keynote, about a month ago. And so in my memoir,
because you just published that.
That came out in September, October. I can't even, everything's running together. But when I started with this one question, what if the worst thing that ever happened to you was the very reason others trust you, follow you, and find healing through your scars? You could hear a pin drop because it just hit him. That was the first thing I said. I got on the stage, kept my head down, trying to get my notes ready. And then it's just that. And that is the key to getting people to want to listen to what you say next. Because again, they're like, oh, that was interesting. I wonder what else she has to say. So that's been very eye-opening for me. Is to a lot of speakers get on stage and thank you so much for having me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you got to start right out of the gate. You got to start strong. So it's really fun.
So you and I must be kindred spirits, because I have a keynote that I wrote this past year from an adventure that I went through in 2021. And the title of the keynote is The Scars That Save. The opener of my keynote, and I'll just give the segue. This is a story for another time, is I died in 2021, so I shouldn't even be here.
Wow. Oh yeah. That's
so then it's like, oh, okay, well, it's a good one, but it's also true. Yeah, there's more story to it. So maybe I'll record that one time and share it on the channel. So, but that is so it's funny because it is like legitimately, and I have physical scars from that situation that well, it's just like you going through the head trauma and so forth. And sometimes those things are the very thing people can connect with and go, man, if they can do it, okay, I get it. So all right, I'm going to a couple reminders for everybody here. Again, if you want to connect with Hailey, probably the best way, I'm going to put this one up on the screen because you've got all your links and all your stuff there, is just go to haileyevans.com/links. And I will have many of her links in the show notes in the description. So, but if you check out haileyevans.com/links, you can go there. It talks about her epic communication framework and the app that's coming. It also, so she's got, you have 2 or 3 books?
I have 2 books, okay. And I did those in 3 months' time.
Yeah. So the 2 books are right there: Epic Impact, How to Turn Your Message into a Movement, and then her memoir, which is Rewrite the Story That Tried to Break You, as we've talked about throughout this. So you can get her 2 books there. You connect with her on social. You can, I'm sure, connect and book you for trainings and keynotes and so forth. So I encourage people, go to haileyevans.com/links. And we're going to do it live just because I'm past the 35-minute mark. So we were talking about this. So one of the things that Hailey's got coming is her epic storytelling app. And so this is like the preview, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this comes out in January. So it's just over 30 days. So if you want to know more about it, but I'm going to add this to the stage. So this is my social media, my LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to zoom in on this more. Can I maximize that? I'm just going to go with here. So you can see my LinkedIn, and the about says, one of my personal and business goals is to make a positive impact on people, make an impact on my family. Again, just so you all know, before she goes in and says, no, watch this, I wrote this from the heart. Okay. So Hailey's got control of the screen, and she's like, okay, well, let's create a really epic story for Mike's leadership and LinkedIn. So I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. All right. So what I like to do is take a before and an after. And like I said, I don't want to just say, oh, it sounds better. I want to know why it sounds better. I want to tell you why it sounds better. And so we're going to do a before and after, and then we'll see what you say. So okay. I have created a custom GPT. This is my demo here. And so I'm just going to say the prompt. So on the back end, all the instructions are there. So I'm just going to say, analyze this LinkedIn about section and rewrite and give comparison table. Okay, just paste it in and it's ready to go. And we're going to see what it is going to do. Okay. All right, Mike, you'll have to tell me how this sounds. From selling roller skates at 17 to leading high-performing automotive sales team, my journey has always centered around one goal: empowering people to win. Whether it's family, business owners, or community leaders, I believe sales is the most powerful tool to unlock potential and drive real change. What do you think so far?
Well, a couple of things. I don't even know if I probably did have some of that in there, but that's an improvement. Like, I can connect with that. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. With a proven track record as a top performing general sales manager in the auto industry, I've mastered every corner of the dealership, from the sales floor to the call center, and training elite teams. I'm often called an expert in automotive phone sales, but my true superpower: coaching people to become unstoppable closers. How's that sound so far?
I love it.
So it's going to continue to go on about your love for psychology. So that is the persuade. That's more of your story. The inspire is when true transformation starts to happen, because you're painting vision. Imagine your team energized, trained, and closing with confidence, your business running smoother, your mindset sharper. That's what I deliver. Growth that sticks from the inside out. Whether it's through motivational speaking, sales training, or digital marketing, I help people and businesses reach their next level. How does that sound?
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing. There is nothing so far. There is nothing to dislike about this, Hailey. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Okay. Now here's the close. Let's connect if you're looking for a no-fluff strategist who can coach, train, and drive measurable results in your business. I'm always open to meaningful collaborations, consulting, or speaking engagements. And then you probably have your link. So now is the fun part, because we get to compare the original version, the epic version, the psychological trigger, and the conversion impact. Okay, so here we go. The original version was vague. Make a positive impact. Mike, that sounds good, but it's kind of generic. That could be for anything. The epic version is a story-based hook from skates to strategy.
Yep.
What's going to get in that mind better? You're going to remember that more. Okay, the psychological trigger is that it helps with relatability and creates narrative tension. Now, the conversion impact is that it offers immediate connection with that reader. Okay, that makes sense?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, here's the persuade. There's a laundry list of experiences in the original version. However, in the epic version, we're just going to highlight the core expertise, your story, and boom, there's the results. Mike again in the results. It's all about the results.
Absolutely.
Okay, the psychological trigger is that allows you to gain authority, social proof, and contrast between where you were and what you offer. This conversion impact builds trust fast. Okay. All right. Ready for inspire?
Yeah, this is really good. And I want to be really clear, so everybody knows, like we didn't, other than her telling me beforehand, hey, I want to do this live, we didn't prep any of this. So I want people to know that, like, I know you probably know if anyone's listened to the show, but that's one of those that it's like, so often you'll watch like a morning show and it's like, oh, we didn't prepare for this. And it's like, yeah, right. You just happen to have, all the ingredients there. But this is, it's really good, Hailey.
Cool. Okay. Almost done. So the inspire piece, you had generic motivation, but now we have a vivid before and after transformation. The psychological trigger is that it's going to offer us aspiration, clarity, and emotional vision. Now, remember, people make decisions first on emotion and then back it up with logic. And the conversion impact is that it sparks the desire to engage with you. And finally, the close. The original version was that there was no clear call to action. The epic version specifically invites them to connect and collaborate.
Yep.
The psychological trigger is that it encourages commitment and direction, and the conversion aspect or impact is that it drives action.
I love it. No, I really do. So if you could send me this, please, that's the free.
You might want to use it.
I will. Absolutely will use it. I think it's great. No, I think it's fantastic. I will. Yeah. And here's the thing is, it's like, I'm easily connected, and I know I've said several times, like, we're protective over the things we create, right? Mm-hmm. It's crazy to me that you can take that and paste it in, and it doesn't, like, AI doesn't know me, but you've got your custom GPT, your epic version, and you say, hey, I'm going to plug this in and change it. And it does, it reads it to inspire action. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah. Awesome.
I would say, and you have my email address, so just send it to me.
Yes, absolutely. So to back it up, now, why do I know this works? Is because in my email today, I sent out.
I'm going to put this back on the screen.
I sent 19,000 emails today, the day before Thanksgiving. What is the average open rate? 30%, if you're lucky.
I mean, it depends on interest, or depends on industry. Anywhere from 4%. I mean, I'm super familiar, automotive industry, and consultant rates are anywhere from, like, I think 17 to 25%.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So when I can have a 72% open rate, and it's only been half a day since that email went out, and there was a 52% click rate, what does that tell you?
That's, I mean, super high. It's double what the standard would be for, consultants and so forth, or authors, speakers. I'm curious, when you're saying, okay, what's the click-through rate, what are you having them click through to? Are you having them click through to something else with an epic hook?
Yes. So what I love to do is make sure that every single image has a place to go, because the worst thing you can do is have the images pop up a little bit bigger. No, people want to know what's behind door number 1, behind door number 2. What are we going to get? So where's this one go? It goes to my links page, just like you said. I want them to see how they can start their free trial, get a book a call, and then here's all my social links. So that's one way that I get them to click on things. And then I always share a valuable asset. I don't want to just tell people what to do. I want to show them how to do it for themselves. So this downloadable worksheet goes here, and they can easily print it out. They can instead take their mission statement and turn it into an epic little story that actually moves people. Because here's the thing with mission statements, they don't move people. From in 1989, it's probably not the best way to communicate who you are and what you do and how you make a difference. So I tell them how to transform that. Very easy. Awesome. And so down here, again, if you click this, you're going to go to another page. Here is, some more of my insights. But, here's the data. There is what you need to know and why Epic works.
So what's crazy, because so you have 19,000, call it 20,000 for simple math, right? 20,000 people that you're sending an email to. How quickly is your email list growing too?
So that's all about those lead generators. So when you go to my website, you're going to come to this page. I'm a StoryBrand certified guide, so I'm all about that. If people are not ready to book a call, you always want to have some kind of asset or valuable guide that they can download immediately, so that they know who that you're valuable. So if you click here, you're going to download the free Epic intro prompt guide, and you're going to get that immediately. And so actually, if people go to epicstorytelling.ai, they're going to get this right now, because I'm still tweaking the website till I get it live. But all the way through here, there's also another way that you can share is, maybe they don't want that one, but maybe they want the storytelling blueprint. So give people options that when they download, your information, it's actually helping them solve a real problem.
Here's what's amazing. And why I was asking that is because you have 20,000 people, 20,000 people, 50%. So 9 to 10,000 of them are clicking through to your website and looking at this stuff and connecting.
Free SEO. Here's the thing. Look at this. I had 54,000 clicks just from 7 a.m. till today, 3 o'clock. Boom, right there, 54,000 clicks. So here's the thing. When you want free SEO, all you got to do is show a downloadable piece from your website and link it back to your own website. So for instance, right here, when I do a little bit of a teaching piece, I say, you can find it here. So then like in April, I drove over 14,000 visits to my own website because of this strategy. And so this was a huge success. This email, look, 92% there. Thinking about your next speaker, read this first. So it's, again, creating curiosity. So again, I like the case studies, and this was a downloadable piece that people could see and read, and then get the free subject lines that work.
Man, this is phenomenal. That's a masterclass in itself, Hailey. We could have a whole nother conversation on this part of it. Truly, I did not know we were going to go this direction or this deep on stuff. It's awesome. So, I would encourage anybody. There's a couple of things. One, I'm going to ask you for final thoughts in a minute, just because we're kind of coming up on the hour and so forth. For anybody that has watched this show, for goodness sake, connect with Hailey Evans. She has got so much, just such a wealth of information, and talking about, and like I said, I was willing to go first, y'all. I'm willing to be the guinea pig. I'm like, okay, fine. We'll see. I feel like I'm a pretty good writer. I'm a pretty good blogger most of the time and so forth. So for you to come in 30 seconds and be like, well, hey, let me make this more engaging and awesome, because you've invested the time up front to do that. And it's like taking and putting your brain in there, obviously based on, you know, your previous scholarship writing and grant writing and all of these things. So connect with Hailey. That would be one thing I would tell everybody. And I will put this on the screen again. Go to haileyevans.com/links and make sure and connect with her. You said they can sign up for the evaluation or free trial of the
Yes.
Epic framework.
So they can sign up to be on the wait list. Those that get on the wait list are going to be offered the most bonuses and be able to gather the most savings and the benefits. So get on the wait list. You'll get the Epic intro sent to you. And then if anybody wants to book a call with me, I always offer to write a story for you at no cost. So just for booking a 30-minute call with me, I will remake your LinkedIn bio, or I will do a web rewrite of your website, all of your copy. And so not only is this app going to be content creation, it's going to be strategy. And so thinking about marketing 2026 and your strategic plan, there's going to be lots of opportunities to benefit. And again, I just want to give away free value because that's the name of the game these days. And
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, any final thoughts to take us out with other than just book a call with Hailey?
Yeah. So, I've got the 2 books. Strangely enough, this Epic Impact book was #1 for several weeks in 3 nonprofit categories. Nonprofits have the hardest time telling their story. Yes. And so that's why I focus on them, because they are doing so much good. They're sitting on a gold mine of stories. Now, this is not just for any organization this applies to. You're sitting on a gold mine of stories, but you've got to figure out how to communicate them in a way that others are attracted to, that value that you provide. So I just think that there is an easy way, an easy framework: engage, persuade, inspire, close. And if you learn that, you are golden across all of your platforms.
Awesome. Well, Hailey, thank you so much for joining me today on the Leadership Toolkit. If you would hang out for just 1 minute, and I'm going to go ahead and take us out, okay? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to bring us to a close to another episode of the Leadership Toolkit with my new friend, Hailey Evans. What a phenomenal show. Man, I this is one of those, every so often I'm like, we could have done like a 4-hour, little strategy seminar and gone through this stuff with what she shared. I would have sat here for it, right? And just been like, oh, okay, well, teach me that, because I need to improve on my click-through rates and my mail and my strategy and my copy and my storytelling and all the things she's talking about. So a couple of favors that, if I may ask you, my audience. First and foremost, one of the ways this podcast continues to grow is if it gets shared and if you get thumbs up on it. So please drop a like, drop a strong arm on it. We've talked about that. I don't know where Jim went. He's been my strong arm PR guy for a while here. So that strong arm emoji, throw some likes on it. And then most importantly, if you know somebody that would gain some wisdom from this particular show, especially if like they're struggling with telling their story, they're struggling with their marketing, they're struggling to get the word out and so forth, that one person, that's who we want to make the impact to. So please share the show with them, because that's one of the most powerful things you can do. It's one thing, and that's the whole motivation of the show is, right? How do you grow yourself and how do you grow the people around you? Well, one of the ways is you got to be willing to share that information, engage them and say, hey, you got to check this show out because you're going to gain something from it, or I picked up this tidbit. So just please share it with people. Throw likes on the show, share the show, and most importantly, share it with somebody that could use the information. So everybody, I thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and join me on another episode of the Leadership Toolkit. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday at 12:05 p.m. Mountain Time, 2:05 p.m. Eastern. And as always, stay great. We'll talk soon, everybody.